We're going to take a look at the Ponzi scheme. It seems the growing number that have come forward in the past year. In fact, more than 80 have come to light so far, including one where even churchgoers were unwittingly preyed upon. No puns intended there. But one of our reporters here at Bloomberg is joining me now to tell us about Tri-Energy's scam that promised 20,000 tons of gold to Mormons and born-again Christians. They later found out they were conned out of $50 million. James Sterngold is the author of that story. He uncovered this for Bloomberg News. This just sounds in the realm of the absurd. This record producer in California preying upon Mormons?
It was quite outlandish, and frankly, that was one of the reasons I wrote about it, because with all the Ponzi schemes that have surfaced, obviously Madoff is the biggest one. I think one of the things that gets lost a little bit is that the victims more often not have to enable the perpetrators. They have to believe when they should have been skeptical. And certainly in this case, the schemes they were sold were completely outlandish, and I think that just accentuates that the victims were willingly engaging in this because they were blinded by the profits.
Were there any indications along the way? We've heard so many times about what happened with Madoff and people raising red flags. Were there red flags?
Tons and tons, and they chose not to see them. One main red flag was they kept being promised the deal's about to close, the deal's about to close, and yet there was always an excuse. They always needed a little bit more money. They always asked for patience. This went on for years, and they kept being told it's going to close, it's just around the corner, it's just around the corner, and it never happened.
How did this record producer in California tap into a church-based community, into the Mormon network, and why them?
It was one of those unhappy accidents that ended up tragedy for a lot of people. What happened was there were two guys, Art Simberg and Bob Jennings, who were themselves trying to build up a business selling coal that was supposedly emission-free. They had created a circle of investors built around Christian beliefs. They met this guy named Henry Jones. Henry Jones, they thought might be able to help them raise money for their coal mine in Africa and Europe. They were told by him, you know what, I can't, but I have a better deal for you. I have a gold scheme. You can share the profits.
This is the guy right there on the screen right now. These are the people who sold that story.
Those are the people who sold the story. So they believed Jones when he said, I'll share my profits from the gold scam. This will help you fund your coal mine, and everybody will be happy. I just get to tap into your circle of investors. And then the three were off and running at that point.
Wow. And there, as you indicate, sort of this sense of urgency that was conveyed. You have to pay me now. You're missing the opportunity. But the idea that they're also preying upon a religious community seems to be recalling other cases that we've heard so much about. Why is this "you're just like me" element so compelling to people?
A lot of Ponzi schemes are technically called affinity schemes, and what that means is that the investors feel they have something important in common with the perpetrators. Often it's religion. In this case, born-again Christians. In the Madoff case, many of the investors, of course, were Jewish, and they trusted someone who appeared to be like them, like-minded. There have been other scams involving deaf people, where they trusted a perpetrator who himself was deaf. There are ones that have preyed upon the Haitian American community or Korean American community. In each of these instances, people tend to lower their guard when they feel they're around people like them. They can trust them, and they rely on faith more than just common elements of skepticism.
What's happening to the perpetrators, to Simberg, to Jennings?
All three of them are now in federal prison. Simberg decided to flip. He became a prosecution witness. He cooperated with them. He got a 9-year sentence. Jones was the worst sentence. He got 20 years, and Jennings got 12 years. They're appealing, but they're behind bars. They're probably going to be there for a very long time to come. But people's lives were shattered by this.
Undoubtedly. And you wonder, too, how long a hangover this creates within that community, a lack of trust in other financial advisors. It's got impact on many different human levels. Thank you so much for bringing us this story. That's our reporter here at Bloomberg News, James Sterngold. You can read that story in Bloomberg Magazine, the October issue.